Now we're going to start on our reptiles. This is Phylum Chordata and Subphylum Vertebrata, but our class name is Reptilia. That means to crawl or to creep. These animals breathe air. They are ectothermic or cold-blooded. Their skin is dry and scaly. They have amniotic eggs with shells, and they're tetrapods. So their embryos are surrounded by an amniotic membrane. The classes we're looking at the class Reptilia. The orders that we're going to look at are Crocodilia, which is, of course, is your crocodiles and your alligators. Squamata, which is your lizards and your snakes. Testudines, your turtles and tortoises. And then Sphenodontio, the Tautara, and there are just two species of those. That's Crocodilia. Crocodiles and alligators. You know how to tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator. A crocodile has a more pointed snout. The alligator's is more broad and flat. Crocodiles are more vicious. So let's start with order Squamata. These are our scaled reptiles, and this includes our lizards and snakes. And they have really dry, scaly skin because they've got these horny scales or shields. And their jaws have this movable quadrate bone that we're going to talk about in a minute. The males are the only vertebrates with a hemipenis. And this is the only reptile group that we can find all three reproductive types: oviviparous, viviparous, and I can't say it, oviparous. We have those around here, that white mound. Now our testudines are our turtles and tortoises and terrapins. They are cold-blooded, ectothermic, and they have a special bony or cartilaginous shell that develops from their ribs. The order Sphenodontia, this is the Tautara, and it's an ancient group of reptiles. And the word means peaks on back. They believe it is actually a living fossil. It hasn't changed much in 225 million years. They're not lizards because their teeth are arranged differently. They have one row of teeth in their lower jaw, and it fits between two rows of teeth in the upper jaw, and that helps them to tear apart the hard insects and chew the heads off small birds. Their niche is very difficult. They live on cliffs where it's cold and damp. They can't survive if it gets below 45 degrees, and they die if they get above 82 degrees. So they do better if they're less than 70 with 80% humidity. They can weigh anywhere from not quite a pound up to about 2.2 pounds. Different colors: gray, olive, and brickish red. The male is larger, about 60 centimeters, and the female is about 40 centimeters. They don't have external ears. They have a skull with two openings on each side. It's called diapsid. And they have a parietal eye on top of their head. And their teeth are fused to their jawbone. Their metabolism is extremely slow, and they live a long time, sometimes over 100 years. You can see that parietal eye there. Takes about 10 to 20 years for them to reach sexual maturity. The female will lay eggs about once every 4 years, and she'll lay between 5 and 18. They mate from midsummer to early autumn, which is January to March, because they're in the southern hemisphere. But their eggs are not laid until the following spring or summer, October to December. They incubate them about 12 to 15 months, and the embryo doesn't develop at all during the winter. So when it finally hatches, it could have been conceived 2 years ago. The male has no external sex organs, and the way they mate is they just meet their cloacal regions, and it's called a cloacal kiss. They live singly in burrows, and sometimes they have to defend those burrows, and the males will fight. They will inflate their bodies and elevate their crest and darken their skin, and that's the same way they approach females for breeding. And they're nocturnal. They're most active at night, but sometimes if it's real sunny, they will bask in the sun. They eat arthropods, earthworms, snails, bird eggs, small birds, frogs, and lizards. And a cricket-like insect that's native to their area that's the size of a mouse is called a weta. Sometimes the young are cannibalized, but they don't eat very frequently because they have such a low metabolic weight, or rate, not weight, rate.